Welcome to the Game Sense Football Podcast, and with me is Nas. I'm Ewan. I said it a bit backwards today, but whatever. Anyway, in today's episode, we look at some of our predictions from the start of the Premier League season and see if they've aged well. Some of them have not totally not aged well at all. Yep. And we also spoke to some fans to get their opinions on, how they think their teams will do by the end of the season. And also some team-specific questions that we will get into later in this episode. And of course, before we begin, if you enjoy our content, do consider subscribing to our podcast. We greatly appreciate your support. And remember to also check out our Instagram account, Game Sense Football. So Nas.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you a question, but I see that there's a Liverpool jersey behind you. For those listening without any video, there is a Liverpool jersey behind us right now.
Yes.
Can you tell me about it?
So this Liverpool jersey behind me is actually a signed Steven Gerrard jersey.
How did you get it? How did you come upon it?
It's kind of a long, convoluted story, but it has to do with where I used to work. We did something with Steven Gerrard's management group. It was a ambassadorship sponsorship sort of thing. The deal actually fell apart when he joined Aston Villa as manager. If you remember, he was Rangers manager before. It's a betting company basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
as part of the thing, Gerrard signs 50 shirts for the brand, and they give it to their stakeholders, their clients, their VIPs, whatever. And for contingency, we get him to sign, I think, 80, and this is one of the reject ones.
Oh, well, okay. Well, memorabilia is memorabilia.
Yeah, and me as a United fan, I'm not having that framed, but yeah.
I mean, maybe you can use it for some, cleaning around the house, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I do need to clean my bathroom tomorrow, so maybe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So before we begin talking about our, EPL or our Premier League rather predictions from the start of the season, there's some news updates from around the English footballing world. Firstly, the FA Cup draw.
Yes. So FA Cup obviously has already started. First and second rounds, and I think maybe the preliminary rounds have been going on for a while now. But the third round is when most of the Premier League the big teams come in. That's usually in the first week of January. I think this season is going to be January like 11th or something, which is a bit late, but doesn't matter.
11th, yes.
Yeah. The draw is fairly mediocre, really, but there are three ties to me which stand out. The first one is United versus Arsenal.
That's the pick of the round.
Pick of the round, definitely. And both teams, I think, will be desperate to win the FA Cup. And I think everybody else will be happy that one of them will be knocked out. One of the other interesting ties is Manchester City against Salford. For those who are unaware, Salford is actually the team that is owned by Gary Neville and some of the other class of 92 players.
Yep. So it's like a derby game of sorts.
Obviously, Man City, even in their current rut, are still heavy favorites. But who knows? Maybe they might have sacked Guardiola by then. You never know.
I don't think he'll be sacked. But yeah, I mean, come 11th January, a lot of things can change. One more month.
But the other one, which I did see, which was quite interesting, is actually Everton against Peterborough. And again, for those who are just listening and not having any video, Ewan has a very puzzled, blank look in his eyes now, because he has no idea why this is interesting.
You promised to tell me why this is interesting.
So it's interesting because Peterborough have a player called Tyler Young, who is the son of Ashley Young in Everton.
Yes. Ashley Young's son.
Yeah, so
father and son coming against each other
in the FA Cup. Yeah, so that would be quite nice. I don't know if Tyler Young will play in that game because he signed for Peterborough this season. He's only played a couple of games in the League Cup. He's not played a single league game yet, from what I can tell.
So, moving on to the next piece of news, not super important as Nas, pointed out to me, but Luke Shaw's injured again. He just came back like November or something and played like a few games, I think, as a substitute for United. And now he's out once again with another muscle injury. So he gets well soon, I guess. And I think mentally he should be suffering as well, having just come back from injury. And it seems like a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
Another Phil Jones situation, you think? Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I did recently watch the Phil Jones interview with Rio Ferdinand on his channel. Actually, quite good. Quite interesting because Ferdinand did criticize Phil Jones very heavily the last few years, and then
Mm.
he used this opportunity to sort of apologize. But they spoke at length about how difficult it was to come back from the injury and all because even when you think you're ready, mentally you're never the same, and sometimes you think you're okay, but your body isn't ready to come back, and you never have the confidence anymore.
Yep. So, yep, hopefully Luke Shaw can recover from this. Um, Another one, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Not
Mm,
really new news, but pretty interesting that he has taken over Leicester. He won his first game in charge, 3-1 against West Ham. And he basically beat them twice this season before
yes.
taking over. The first ever manager to be doing this, in the same season, basically
Yep, yep.
beating the team twice and then taking over as manager. But who cares about these sort of records, right?
Yeah, yeah.
An interesting fact is when Leicester teased him as their new manager on social media, they put a silhouette
Mm,
of him
okay.
actually in a game that he managed against Leicester.
Oh,
The
really?
first game yeah,
When he was
was it the
interim
first game? Yeah,
manager
the
for
one that
United.
won the game that they won 3-0.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so it's quite funny there.
Okay.
Last piece of news, we promise.
Mm.
Liverpool against Man City.
Liverpool beat City in case anybody didn't know, but
Yeah.
I it's very strange because a lot of in the build up to this game, a lot of people were saying that we hope they hope Liverpool win because City's stranglehold on the Premier League needs to be broken. But now in hindsight, it's like is the title race already over? Liverpool are so far ahead. We'll get into that again later, but
Mm.
Liverpool was so dominant in this game and
Yep.
could have been three,
Sid.
4, 5-0. And I said to you, I think on WhatsApp you and I said to this to a few people when I was watching it, the City players look like they know that their team are going to get relegated.
Yeah, they
That's
look.
what I think. Yeah,
I mean, they look defeated. That's for
yeah,
sure, right? So this game marked like seventh game without a win, right?
mm.
Yeah, seven in a row without a win. So
Mm.
that's some sort of a bit of a miracle, negative miracle kind of thing for City, right? And Pep
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. So
I wonder how many scratches we'll see on Pep's face next. But
yeah. So six
it was bad.
defeats. Yeah,
It was
six
bad.
defeats
Yeah,
and a draw in 7 games. That's a record that even Eric Ten Hag didn't have.
a lot of managers don't have that. In fact,
Yes, yes. So there's actually been a lot of debate on various channels and all like what would it take for Guardiola to get sacked? And somebody who was it? Somebody one of the former players said that even if Guardiola loses every single game from now until the end of the season, he's not going to get sacked. I don't think that's true, but that's an interesting thought experiment.
it really depends on where they end up
Mm,
if they lose every game from now to the end of the season.
yeah.
Just know Liverpool completely dominated City, and
Mm.
now they are completely dominating the league as well. In terms of points, they're 9 points ahead of second place. At this stage, that's crazy.
It's not the biggest ever lead because there have been other 9 points. There's been an 11 points lead, which has been blown before.
Yep,
But in like this sort of modern day sort of kind of setting where teams don't lose more than three games and all, I cannot see anyone catching Liverpool. And I guess like we are like you said, Ewan, we are revisiting our Premier League predictions, and
that's
we
right.
both predicted City would comfortably win the league this year because
I
of
Yeah, correct.
because we thought Arsenal would fall away. We thought Liverpool under new managers wouldn't do well. And now, Arne Slot, the only game they've lost is against Forest,
Yeah, Forest, they got lost in that Forest, but after that,
smashing
man,
everybody. Yeah, I mean, they
exactly.
pains me to say, but they deserve to be where they are.
Yes. I think Virgil van Dijk especially looks like a very, a revitalized player.
Mm,
We've mentioned before that he's a good defender, but maybe he's a bit on the wane.
Mm.
But this season suddenly he looks like, he's fresh all over again.
Van Dijk has been really, really good, like close to his best from maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Salah has been like insane. After the City game, that was the 36th time he has scored and assisted in the same game. It
Hmm.
equals the record that was set by Wayne Rooney.
And he still has many
Time.
games to go.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
at least until the end of the season, but then we'll see. So you've mentioned Van Dijk, and here we've talking about Salah. We asked some Liverpool fans about
Mm,
the two of them, and also about Trent Alexander-Arnold. So the question was,
yes.
if you could keep only one, who would you keep?
We spoke to Justin.
Hmm.
He says that he thinks Liverpool will finish first in the Premier League
Hmm.
and Champions League
And Champions League. Okay.
and EFL Cup
Okay, but not FA Cup.
and FA Cup.
Oh, quadruple. Okay.
I don't know, man. Justin, come on, come on.
United will beat Arsenal and win the FA Cup again. Okay. But anyway,
So Justin's a believer, I
Justin
believe.
Believer. Okay.
In terms of who he will keep, first choice would be Virgil van Dijk.
Van Dijk. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, he says, Justin being a all number one guy, of course, he says that he wished that Liverpool, could keep all. But if given a choice, I think he thinks that Van Dijk, is the most important as they need a rock solid defender.
Hmm.
And he still has some years left in him, as evidenced by his performances, this season.
Do we have any other responses from Liverpool fans?
Yes, we do. Mark has a response, a bit more conservative
Okay.
compared to Justin. Mark believes that for the first time in a long while,
Hmm.
Liverpool can win the league, but he doesn't want to jinx it. So he's going to tell me top two. And he believes that Liverpool is capable of getting into the quarterfinals for most cups
Hmm.
if injuries are favorable.
Okay.
So Mark says that Virgil van Dijk is the one that is the most difficult to replace
Hmm.
compared to Salah or Trent.
Okay.
That's what Mark feels. I think yeah, it sounds a little bit more realistic than what Justin said. But hey, you know, we'll see. And we've got one more.
Hmm.
It's from listener Nigel, loyal
Loyal
listener
listener, like,
Nigel. Yes, Nigel always has some opinions of
hmm.
some Liverpool things. So he says Liverpool will finish strong at the top of the Premier League and into the finals of the Champions League.
Okay.
And surprise, surprise, or rather no surprise at all, he says Virgil van Dijk as well.
Wow. Clean sweep for Virgil van Dijk. That actually surprises me
Yes.
a lot because a lot of the talk around this discussion, which of the three players Liverpool should keep, if you can only keep one, more and more people shift towards Salah. And some people are saying Trent because he's the youngest and in a way has the most unique skill set, his long passing and set pieces and all.
Mm,
I do somewhat agree with them saying Van Dijk though, because he was the transformative signing for Liverpool. He's the captain. If you have such a commanding, solid, dependable, but also all action defender who's good on the ground, in the air, with the ball, without the ball, that sets the tone and is the platform for the rest of the team for what you want to build. So, not in a way not surprising that they say Van Dijk, even though I just literally said I'm surprised. Salah, the clamor for Salah to stay is also obviously very understandable because Salah right now probably one of the best players in the world, if not no, but definitely the top five or something in the world. Yeah, but what irks me, right, is that his recent comments about not being offered a contract and all, that was to me, a very dick move from Mo Salah because he went out of his way to talk to people saying he hasn't got a contract, and whether or not that's true, he didn't have to do that because in all his time at Liverpool, he's given interviews like that fewer than 10 times, and every time he's done it is only to get a new contract.
I read that he has only gone into like the mix zone
Mm.
for interviews after matches like twice
Yeah. So
before
yeah. So for
in his
for
entire Liverpool stint.
Yeah, exactly.
Twice.
For those who are unaware, the mix zone is this area outside the stadium or whatever venue where the athletes and whoever else will go through, usually to and from the dressing room or the transport to and from the venue. that's where a lot of the media are stationed to get interviews. The athletes and the VIPs are not obliged to stop to talk to them. So
Yep.
every time you see a player or manager interview after the game, typically those are the ones where the team has to send a representative to talk to the media. But the Salah thing about the contract was in the mix zone where he never stops, and he goes out of his way to stop and talk about this. And again, like to me, and I think Jamie Carragher also mentioned this, saying it's a very selfish thing to do.
It is. It is. I mean, Salah doesn't come across as a guy who is. I don't know. It doesn't come across
Altruistic.
as a guy who plays for the badge so much as there's a bit of an ego right there, right? I mean, he
Yeah.
doesn't say it out a lot, but he doesn't give me the vibe that he's like a loyal Liverpool kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a legend. He's a bloody amazing,
Yes,
and maybe you
based
get
on
you,
based
you
on the achievements, I think.
yeah,
Based on achievements,
you
yes.
you can argue maybe he has the right to do this to but like you don't see Van Dijk and Trent saying this, right?
Yeah, you don't. I mean, it's a bit of a low kind of move, below the
Yeah,
belt kind of move from Salah.
yeah.
I think uh I don't know, but I would agree with our fans
Hmm.
actually. Virgil van Dijk, I think he's kind of the one of the more important players in the squad right now,
Hmm.
and I would say above Salah and above Trent as
Trent.
well. Yeah, in terms of providing that solidity at the back,
Yeah,
where it gives the rest of the team the confidence to actually push forward.
yeah. So I
Yeah,
guess we are all agreed that okay, not on Salah, but Liverpool champions.
yeah,
Okay,
eh, for sure.
and so we were wrong. We said City, and we didn't have Liverpool in the top four. I think maybe definitely not top two or top three. So
Yeah, did
Liverpool
age well.
top. We said in our in our preview before the season started that United would finish top four. I think we both said second or third. Okay, who are we going for second now? Is it
I think
City?
Arsenal has a good shout at second.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it wouldn't be City right now.
Yeah, if City are well, they're currently not even in the top four. Arsenal are currently second now, though they are second based on alphabetical order. I think Arsenal have a good chance of finishing second, but they dropped too many unnecessary points to be challenging Liverpool now, or well, to have been challenged to challenge City. I think second for Arsenal is something everybody has sort of agreed on. Even one of the Arsenal fans that we spoke to, Elias, hello Elias, a very very
Hello, Elias.
loyal, diehard Arsenal fan.
Hmm.
We asked him, and he said that second, Liverpool are on fire. He thinks they'll get to the Champions League semi-finals, and but he thinks that Arsenal would be knocked out of the FA Cup and League Cup.
Wow.
Yeah, Arsenal could probably beat almost any European team, uh, unless they come up against like an on-form Real Madrid or something.
Yeah, perhaps.
Additionally, we asked him who is more important to Arsenal, Saka or Odegaard, because those are by far the two most important players to Arsenal's attack and shape. Personally, I actually don't know the answer. Saka definitely gets more headlines, but whenever Martin Odegaard doesn't play, Arsenal suffers so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Uh,
He said Odegaard,
he
the
said
Arsenal
Odegaard.
fan, yes, said Odegaard is
Hmm.
more important.
I've got one from Arsenal fan Z. Z appeared on one
Hmm.
of our episodes
Yes.
previously, beating me in one of the quizzes. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm only capable of beating Nas in a quiz.
unfortunately.
So Z says, well, his first reaction was, "How do you even predict the end of season right now?" So, when forced to give an answer,
Hmm.
he said, "Arsenal top three."
Top three.
Yep,
Okay.
top three exactly. He did especially mention that Liverpool are strong,
Hmm.
and he also said that Chelsea is probably going to be somewhere up there end of the season.
Interesting.
The question on whether Saka or Odegaard is more important.
Hmm.
He says that both are equally important, actually. He says the right side of the pitch is vital to Arsenal.
Hmm.
And when they are both on the pitch, that's when the team is obviously strongest. So I asked him about as well which other players are important
Okay.
to the team. He feels are especially important. And he feels that the centre back pairing, um,
Saliba and Gabriel.
Gabriel and Saliba, exactly. It's vital that they stay fit. Um, and but he feels that the other parts of the team are a little bit more interchangeable.
Mm.
So not as critical.
Do we think Arsenal second?
Arsenal second is pretty quite a solid uh prediction, I think.
Okay, so who else is in the top four?
Gets tough. So this is where it gets tough actually.
Yes.
Um, because the top four has been like interchanging a little bit,
Yeah.
or at least
So
fourth has been
okay, so so
before
so,
Man City's downfall.
so here's what I suggest to you. Okay, I'll read to you a list of teams, and then from there you tell me who do you think will be in the top four come the end of the season, aside from
All
Liverpool and
right,
Arsenal.
all right.
So the nominees
So
are
pick two,
Man
pick
City,
two. Okay.
Man City, Man
Mm.
United, Chelsea, Brighton, Aston Villa, Newcastle, Spurs. Those are the ones most of those we looked at preseason.
Almost all those teams are doing badly,
Mm,
actually. Um, I would say, based on how it looks currently, I think Chelsea will be in the top four,
okay.
and maybe Man City might be able to kind of pick themselves up. I guess. I hope not, but I think Man City has a better shot at top four
Mm,
than Man United.
okay. If you had to gun to your head, who finishes third? City or
Chelsea,
Chelsea? Chelsea
Chelsea.
finished third. Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So, yep. Speaking about Chelsea being third, that's kind of way off from our predictions.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Cole Palmer has not been as electrifying as he was last season, but he's still been very, very good. Nicholas Jackson has been very good. But generally,
Mhm.
Enzo Maresca has done much better than we thought he would.
Yes, and we are not that happy to be proven wrong in this situation, but definitely we were very, very, very wrong. And Chelsea looked to be pretty solid this season, actually.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Uh, I do get the vibe that they are like just one bad result away from collapsing, though. So I still have it in my heart of hearts that they will not finish top four, and they'll like go on a Man City run of six defeats in seven and near the come the end of the season. Uh,
Ooh,
what they
ooh.
have going for them is they have such a big squad that some of you may have heard that for European competition, they basically registered a whole separate squad. So whenever they have to play in the Conference League, right, all
Mhm.
their Premier League players can rest.
I mean, look, even if they mess up towards the end of the season, I think this season has shown us that Chelsea do have a bright future ahead. Their players are also young as well.
Yeah, but is their bright future basically just Cole Palmer?
Uh, maybe not. I mean,
Mm.
Nicholas Jackson is performing a lot better this season than last season.
Correct, but Cole Palmer to Nicholas Jackson is also the most productive pairing in Premier League since the start of last season. So if you take out Cole Palmer, is Nicholas Jackson that good?
I mean, if you take out Nicholas Jackson, is Cole Palmer that good?
Maybe, yeah, exactly.
Ah,
So, like,
mm.
okay, for example, so we are thinking Chelsea and City for top four, and Rodri out for City, they've collapsed. If Cole Palmer out for Chelsea, is it the same?
Hard to say, but I would tend to say maybe yes.
I think yes. I think yes.
I think yes. I do think that Chelsea have a good squad on paper,
Mm,
and it's a matter of time for them to gel all these players together. We obviously didn't think that this season would be soon enough.
yeah.
However, that's kind of happening thanks to Cole Palmer or no thanks to Cole Palmer, whatever, right?
Mm.
But I think the fact is they are on fire, quite on fire at least, and um, I don't want to take that away from them at least at this point of
I
the
wish I
season. I
could take
think
that away from them.
yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could, honestly. But I think they have proven us wrong, and we'll happily admit that. But Nas, do you
Mm,
think they will finish in the top four?
no, I think
No.
they'll fall away. I
Who are your
hope,
top four?
but I also think they fall. So I think we both think City will finish top four. Uh,
Mhm.
I think Spurs have a chance of getting to top four. So Spurs is another team which I was wrong about. So in our preseason predictions, I said that Dominic Solanke, for example, I thought this would be a bad season. He's been more than decent this season. But
I think injuries have been his greatest
yeah,
problem.
for sure, definitely. But
Yeah.
Brennan Johnson has been very good for Spurs this season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he scored a shitload. I think non-penalty goals he's only behind Haaland. Uh, then Son obviously is always good, even though he's not super
It's
spectacular this
a
season.
bit off form this
Yeah,
season. Yeah.
still dangerous though. But and maybe it's because everyone is paying attention to Son and giving Brandon Johnson space. We spoke to some Spurs fans. One of them, Peter, he said he thinks Spurs will finish top six. He doesn't think top four. He thinks top six. Okay.
And that's still pretty good for Spurs, I think.
Yeah. But the question I asked him then is if Ange Postecoglou doesn't win a trophy in his time at Spurs, is he a failure?
Mm.
I think this question is relevant on a few levels because Postecoglou basically is the sort of, in a way, the line is for Postecoglou is a bit like Jose Mourinho, is that wherever he goes, he wins trophies. Obviously, Postecoglou has never managed at the Premier League level before Spurs. It was in Australia, it was in Japan, and you know, and in Scotland. Pete says that if Ange Postecoglou doesn't win a trophy, it's still not his fault. It's the club problem because same players every year, different manager every season, but the results are still the same, and the Spurs fans are already used to it.
So is it a Daniel Levy problem?
Maybe because is it because he doesn't want to invest properly and all? But I don't like to say it's hard to say because it sounds like we're being indecisive. But Spurs for the longest time look like they are on the cusp of greatness. Especially the time under Poch, they finished, they almost won the league, they got to the
Champions
Champions
League
League final,
final.
and then they didn't
Mm.
invest. They did not invest. It's just like them. It's in their like club DNA, the club philosophy, the club heritage, to borrow a Mourinho phrase, to just fall at the last hurdle. And again, that's still further
Yeah.
than a lot of teams get to. And I still think they have a chance of finishing top four if, like basically between, okay, like just now we say Chelsea, you take out Cole Palmer, I think they're fucked. But for Spurs, you have Solanke. I was wrong about Solanke, but so you have Solanke, you have Brandon Johnson, you have Madison, you have Son. That's four good goal threats. Not counting Richarlison, not counting Kulusevski.
But the
So
problem with Spurs, I think they're inconsistent. They
yes,
blow hot and cold.
definitely.
They trash Man City, then they draw with Fulham. I mean,
Lost to Ipswich.
lose to Ipswich. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Lose to Ipswich, trash Man City, draw with Fulham. What's
yeah,
going on with Spurs, right? So,
exactly. So that's the thing. And I think that's why it's very difficult to predict top four or even top six because
yeah,
outside of Liverpool and Arsenal, every other team, like you've mentioned, is at best inconsistent this season. I think we have Liverpool or Arsenal top two, City somewhere in the top four, either Chelsea or Spurs in the top four. Then for top six, that leaves. So basically, do you think Spurs finish top six?
I think that's realistic. I would agree. Top
Yeah.
six. Top four, no, but
Yeah,
top six, yes.
and that's how I feel about Chelsea. Top six, but not top four. So that means between us, we have one more spot for top six. Who's the other
Mm.
team?
Do you
Is
think
it
Brighton can maintain?
Yeah, could it be Brighton? If not for Arne Slot, maybe the Brighton manager, whose name I can never pronounce, might be manager of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brighton certainly look good, but I'm not sure how well they can maintain it.
yeah. The problem for Brighton is they have a very well coached, well drilled team, but they have
Mm.
no depth. One or two injuries and they're screwed. And
Yes.
obviously, we talked about Rodri, we talked about Cole Palmer, Luke Shaw earlier, but as bad as has been have been as bad as Chelsea could be without those players, they still have cover. Brighton have almost no quality cover in their positions, and that's the
Yep.
problem.
So yeah, so maybe Brighton can't sustain it. I
Mm.
would have to go with United, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm hoping United because
I'm hoping
I'm hoping
United as
United.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, oh well. I mean, it has looked good, since Ruben Amorim took over.
Mm.
There's been progress, I think. Match to match to match, we've seen improvements,
Hmm.
like significant improvements, like
Mm.
good enough for the eye test,
Yes.
right? And based on the results as well, I think we've seen the team play better and better. So that's something that I feel very positively about.
Yeah, we predicted top three with Ten Hag, and so now it's at best top six with Ruben Amorim. We've asked a few other United fans.
Yeah.
Gerald, hello Gerald, said that
Hello, Gerald.
top six, optimistically top four, Europa League quarterfinals, League Cup final, uh, and such says that given that City and Aston Villa are in free fall, yes, Villa have been horrendous this season, and
Yeah,
Spurs all over the
so
place
bad.
sometimes. So such things United for third, but only if the current improvement is sustained. Um,
Third. Wow,
yeah, I think that's
that's
very
such is
optimistic.
really, really optimistic. Yeah.
I would love it if we finished it. But additionally, I also asked who should United starting striker be? Because
Okay.
that's something
Okay.
we spoke about in our Ruben Amorim episode, right?
Yeah.
And Such and Gerald both say Rasmus Højlund. Such thinks that Rasmus Højlund is the best at stretching the other team, so he's the best choice. I would agree with him. Rasmus Højlund probably is the best in between compared to Zirkzee and Rashford that United have, and he's also the most similar to Victor Gyökeres, which Ruben Amorim used at uh, Sporting. Fast,
Mm.
strong, clinical if he gets the ball. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say Højlund as well, just because he does things which the other two cannot. Like to me, everything Rashford can do, Højlund can do or do to a decent degree. A lot of things Højlund can do, Rashford cannot do. Zirkzee is a better passer for sure.
I spoke to our friends Greg and Ben about
Mm,
this. So Greg and Ben both said, well, Greg said sixth in the league.
okay.
Yep. And maybe the League Cup. Ben said top six with a late run into the Europa League.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. So I guess six is the magic number.
Would you, as a United fan, prefer we finish fourth and get knocked out of the cups in the quarters or so, or finish sixth and win the Europa League? Both routes we get into the Champions League next season, but which would you prefer?
Winning the Europa League, of course. Getting
Mm,
a trophy, I think that's something that the club can celebrate about at least.
okay.
Yeah. And um now for the striker though, both gave
Ah,
different opinions.
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Greg agreed with Gerald and such.
Mm,
Hoyland, and with you also, of course. Hoyland being the most natural number nine of the lot, who
mm,
has the pressing capability to fit into Amorim's system.
mm.
Which I agree. I agree with that opinion. He mentioned that Zirkzee will probably be fighting it out with Rashford, Garnacho, and Mount for a slot in the dual tens
Yeah.
alongside Bruno,
Alongside Bruno.
of
Yeah.
course. Okay, so anyway, Ben,
Hmm.
interestingly, uh, and I would say maybe a little bit different. He said
Okay.
Zirkzee, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Zirkzee has this penchant for dropping deep to
Mm,
fill the gaps that Bruno creates,
mm.
and basically this is because Bruno inevitably will just run around everywhere,
Yes.
and Zirkzee will help to give the midfield a bit more control as well when he drops deep. And his link up play, I think we've seen, to be able to release the wing backs or the deep running tens.
Mm.
Like for example, that third goal against Everton,
Yes.
where he does a quick layoff to the wing
Yes.
for
A
was it
reverse pass, yeah.
Ahmad? Was it Ahmad?
I think it's about, yeah.
Overall, he feels that the team's issue is controlling games,
Hmm.
and that's why he picked Zirkzee because Zirkzee helps in that respect, to
Okay.
provide more control.
So,
Yep.
in summary, for our top six, Liverpool,
Yes.
Arsenal, City in the top three,
Yep. Okay.
Chelsea, Spurs, Chelsea or Spurs in the top four,
Mm-hmm.
United making up the top six with Chelsea or Spurs.
Yep. Yep. I think that's something that we can agree on. Okay.
Yeah. In a way, kind of boring. That's the like almost traditional top six, right? So no Villa, no Newcastle, no Brighton, no Forest, no Brentford. Uh, Obviously we can sit here and talk about them for ages, but I don't think we will. Villa just generally has not been as good as they have been. Newcastle have actually have been poor. They're below United, you know.
Yeah. So Newcastle and Aston Villa are both below United, which I mean, it
Yeah,
shows how bad they're doing.
yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
yeah. But it has to be pointed out also. I mean, Brighton aside, Forest
Mm,
and even Brentford,
mm,
they're not that far away. Forest is sixth right now.
yes.
in fact.
Forest was
So
like third for a while. Yeah.
yeah, so
And
it will be
again,
interesting.
Forest, the only team to have beaten Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. So it will be interesting to see the top six. We may be very wrong once again.
Yeah,
We've
maybe
shown
we'll
that
have
we're
to
not
do
the best
another
at
one.
predictions.
Yeah.
But it'll be very interesting, and I wouldn't mind to see a Forest or Brighton finish in the top six. Just not at the expense of United, perhaps.
Mm.
So okay, on to episode 41's shenanigans. So shenanigans
Shenanigans.
41. What
Mm.
do you have in store for us, Nas?
So, episode 41, since Ewan and I are both decked in our Man United colors for the first time, we're in sync.
In sync.
In episode 41, we'll go back to a Man United 41. And there have been
Oh,
quite a few notable ones. The current
huh.
number 41 is a player that we've mentioned before, Harry Amas.
Harry
It's a
Amas,
very, very highly rated left back, left wing back.
left
Maybe with
back,
Luke Shaw
left wing back.
injured again, he'll
Yeah.
get a bit of game time under Ruben Amorim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Others include Joshua King, the Norwegian striker
Norwegian
who
striker.
went on to play for
Bournemouth?
Bournemouth, I think.
Yep.
Watford, Bournemouth, something like that. I know he scored against
Bournemouth.
United a couple of times. Um, Reece James wore 41 for United. Not that Reece James, a different Reece
Yeah,
James.
yeah, yeah,
When
yeah,
I saw
yeah.
the name, I was like, what? But yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I had to pause for a second as well.
yeah, the most famous one is Federico Makeda, who was wearing 41 when he
Makeda.
scored against Aston Villa in that season
Oh, when he announced himself to the world before
and then
he
disappeared.
quickly fizzled out.
I remember that game. I was watching that game when I was still living with my parents, and that was when the games was, yeah, they were being showed on ESPN Star Sports in Singapore, and I was watching
Mm.
it in my room. And when he scored, my brother, who was also watching it in his room, we were fortunate enough to be able to watch cable in our rooms. He ran to my room. He's like, "Oh, what? Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see?" Like he was like jumping, and I was like, "Oh!" So I had never shared a football moment with my brother quite like that.
Ah, that's so heartwarming moment, fuzzy
Yeah,
moment, Nas.
yeah. We say
Yeah.
Fuzzy. His name is Faz, so it kind of fits. But
Oh man. But yeah,
yeah,
I remember watching the game as well. I
yeah.
was in a friend's place, yeah, and it was like yeah, we were like, yeah, I think we're not gonna win this game anymore.
Yeah.
But that happened.
Mm,
Yeah, Makeda happened.
Makeda.
He existed for that one single moment.
Yeah, and he has banked on that for the rest of his life.
So, Makeda was kind of a surprise package, don't you
Mm.
think, that season? Um, who do you think rather, or which teams would be a surprise package this season, in your opinion?
Oof. Okay, so when we did this before the season started, I said that Jamie Vardy would score more goals than the entire Chelsea squad aside from Cole Palmer. Probably wrong. He scored a few, but Nicholas Jackson and others have scored more, and
Yep.
Vardy is not anywhere close. So
Hmm.
if I had to predict a surprise, I have a feeling that a team like Newcastle or Villa, one of those
Hmm.
two struggling teams who are aiming to get the top six, they're gonna spend big in January, and the player they buy is actually going to do very well, but not enough to propel them to top six. But I think that's gonna be this. Like there will be a big January transfer for one of those sort of teams, that tier of teams, and that will propel them to like seventh or eighth, but just not quite enough.
That's a weirdly specific prediction.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who it's gonna be. Like in my head, I could see like Newcastle buying Paulo Dybala or something, or
Yep.
someone from Dortmund yeah, but I don't know
I
who
would
it'll be.
say,
But
yeah, Dybala is entirely possible.
yeah, because he's been so close to leaving Serie A for so long, and if he's looking
Yep.
for a payday, but he doesn't want to go to Saudi, this is kind of his last shot. But then again, if he doesn't want to go to Saudi, would he go to Newcastle? What's your final prediction?
I think there would be a Mo Salah fallout at Liverpool.
Oh, like
That would be so nice to watch, right?
but is it going to affect their on pitch performance?
That's maybe a bit of a separate issue, I think. I
Okay.
don't think it will be such a big deal. uh,
Okay.
in terms of on pitch performance. But come end of season at least,
Okay. So
there'll
so
be some
you
sort of a
you you
fallout.
think he leaves
I
end of
think he
season
leaves.
to
Yeah, I
go to
think he
Saudi?
leaves. I don't know where he's going. I would think Saudi, and maybe uh, we can potentially see one of those Brighton Forest type teams
Mhm.
potentially be in the top six.
It would be quite nice, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I don't think it will happen, but it could happen. It could happen.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's what I say will happen. You
Yeah.
know,
Like
the main
if
thing, Mo
if for
Salah fallout.
example Brighton, if like Evan Ferguson goes on a good run of
Yeah,
form, they have every chance.
he's not really playing. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. He when he
Yeah,
when he first appeared under Roberto De Zerbi, right, like everyone was hyping him out as the next big thing, the next like Wayne Rooney, and then he got injured a
he got
bit, and
injured.
then
He got
yeah.
injured. Yeah, so he hasn't really managed to get his place back.
Hmm.
Do you think top scorer will go to Haaland once again?
He's he's another one that's been in a poor run of form. Um,
He's staying humble.
probably. I mean, even though he hasn't scored in the league for a while, he's still top scorer. Salah could very well get there, obviously. So
Mm.
yeah,
I
I
I
actually
think
I think Salah might
I
might,
think
might
Salah is just one goal behind Haaland right now. I think the charts are like Haaland with 12, Salah with 11, and third is Chris Wood with 9.
Chris Wood. I saw a stat. Chris Wood is the only player to be all-time top scorer for two different Premier League clubs.
Mm.
Yeah, current Premier League clubs. I think it's Burnley and somebody else, not Newcastle.
Not Newcastle, right?
Yeah,
He
because
did go there, right?
yeah, yeah, not Newcastle. Yeah. I can't remember who it is, but it's
Mm.
yeah, he's the only player. No, sorry, he's the only player alongside Alan Shearer.
Alan Shearer, the legend, the
Yeah,
boring legend.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So those are our predictions
Mhm.
for the Premier League during this mid-season period. Um, a lot of them had to be corrected, or rather, a few of them had to be corrected
Mhm.
because we are so bad at predicting. Do you think you can do better? Do you think
Yeah.
you can do better? Do you think you can do better? I don't know, but do let us know what your predictions are and whether you agree with our predictions. You can leave a comment in the video or the podcast somewhere below, I guess. And also do follow us on Instagram at Game Sense Football. If you want to rant a little bit more or say a few more words that are a bit longer, you can send us an email at gamesensefootball@gmail.com. So till next time, see ya.
See you guys. I'm going to take this Steven Gerrard jersey and upset some Liverpool fans now.
Do dirty things with it.